What's up, guys? I'm here with Omar Isaf, and we're here to talk about powerlifting and how early success can be a horrible teacher for powerlifting.
What do you mean when you say that, Jeremy? Because you've been powerlifting now for how many years?
I've been competing in powerlifting for like 9 years now.
Okay.
But I've been training for like 18 years.
When did you start training?
When I was like 16 in my parents' basement, I just like bench press, and then eventually I started deadlifting.
Okay. So let's talk about this mental aspect, because a lot of people, we focus a lot on like technique, program, we talk about a lot of different things, but to be like a true champion or a true successful, let's call it lifter, there's the mental aspect. So you've seen a lot of lifters throughout your career, like you started, as you said, 9 years ago powerlifting, but some people had early successes, you would say, some people have had continued success. What do you mean when you say early success is a bad teacher?
So some people, they come to a meet and they expect to win, and sometimes they actually do win. And if you think that you're strong and you go to a meet and you win, that's just gonna reaffirm that.
Reaffirm everything you do.
Everything you've already done.
Yeah.
And if you're only comparing to a small group, that's not gonna help you grow at all. Like just take myself for instance.
Right.
When I went down to Rum 1 like 9 years ago, I was like, I came from Canada, I was the only Canadian lifter down there, and I thought I was going to show all the Americans how Canadians do it.
How'd that go, buddy?
I felt like I was the strongest guy I knew. I was the strongest guy I ever seen in a gym my weight.
Right.
And I went down there, and not only did I not win, I didn't even get second. I think I came in like third or fourth.
Yeah.
And I got out totaled by about 200 pounds.
Wow.
So if I had won that, I don't know if I'd be here today in the spot I'm in. I probably just would have figured, okay, I'm strong and I know what I'm doing, and that's good enough.
It makes you too content, maybe, that early success.
Yeah, and I think you just don't learn from it.
Now, what did you learn, perhaps along the way? Because you actually were talking before off camera, where you said, as an example, your deadlift shot up. Like the first time you said you deadlifted, what did you pull?
Well, the first time I pulled 405.
What the fuck is that?
Like every single time I pulled, I was stronger, no matter what I did. A single, a set of 10, whatever, always more. And then eventually I hit like a huge plateau about 4 years ago, and it took over 4 years to break that by 20 pounds.
Right. And that was the lift, as an example, when we were talking about early success and learning about it. You naturally were just good at deadlifts, and they kind of went increasingly stronger and stronger. And then you hit that plateau, and only when you hit that plateau, perhaps, that you have to take a look.
That's the only time you get to try things and learn what actually works for you and how to break through a plateau. My squat, for instance, was never good.
Yeah. What was your first squat when you did a Rum 1?
506.
Right. And that's actually probably the lift. Now, if you look at all your numbers, what are your best lifts, Jeremy, at 220 with wraps?
821, and then 518 bench, and then 784 deadlift.
Yeah, like they're all good numbers for each of those lifts. But your squat in particular, talking about like not having early success, that was the one you had to work the hardest on, the one that you had to analyze the most, is you made the most improvement actually. Now your squat, arguably, it's right up there, maybe even the best of the lifts.
Right, I had to work and figure out every single pound on that lift.
Yeah.
I never came naturally. I never like did a set and then like next week come back stronger always. I remember being really frustrated with it, and I've had to learn how to just be patient and put just a few pounds on, or like 10 to 15 pounds a year plus a rep or two. That's all I ever ask, and I get that every single year, and it all adds up eventually. But just to talk about, to go back, you know, like the early success, I can think of people that came to Rum and their first time and they won. So the first time they won, and maybe the second time they won also. But I see these people, they struggle today, and it's probably because they had that early success and it just reinforced what they already thought they knew.
Right.
And then I see people that came to Rum and they didn't do so well at first, but they kill it now.
And so failure kind of causes you to take a look at your training, how to improve, rather than just, you know. Failure
is part of the process. That's how you learn. If you're like a beginner lifter and you're scared to do a meet because you're not going to win, you shouldn't be winning.
Go on. That's great.
Go to a meet, lose, see what everyone's doing, ask questions. When I went to Rum 1 and I lost, everyone was nice to me. I asked a lot of questions, nobody cared. If you're the strongest guy at your meet, then find a better meet, because you're not going to learn.
That's actually a really good point that you've always made, and I respect that, is that when you compete, you try and always compete with the best, because you want to compare yourself to the best. You want to then see like where you stand, what you need to do then.
Right, I think it just changes your mindset. The numbers become all of a sudden the numbers that your standard changes. That's all.
I want to talk though, however, because people see you, they see your performance, so they see the meets, right? So they see like RUM, they see you at Boss of Bosses where you became the world champion, like, oh, like everything goes easy for you, and they talk about success. But like, let me ask you an honest question. Does training always go perfect for you? Like, how does it work with you? Are you just this guy, this machine where you said like you add 20 pounds every year, or what's going on?
The training is never perfect.
Never perfect.
Never perfect.
Never perfect.
Not once. You just through experience, you just kind of find a new path. Whenever an obstacle comes up, you just find a new way and just continue to grab more poundage wherever you can. I think setting realistic and small goals is what's best. I've always only ever looked for a pound. Like, I'd put like 5 to 20 pounds on one lift plus a rep or two. That's all I ever looked for all year.
Right.
And enough of that, you do that enough times and you start to peak out properly, but eventually that all adds up and you do find you get a big meet eventually.
I remember you told me something funny. I just, Jeremy, you know, how do you become good at the squat? And his answer was, squat for 10 years.
Yeah.
That's what you said.
Pretty much, yeah. I tell people pull up a chair to the squat rack and do it for 10 years.
Yeah, and you'll become stronger. Guys, that is the video. Jeremy, thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me.
If you like the video, make sure to like the damn video. I think this is important. You know, you talked before about technique, as we said, programming, the need for like muscle and strength, a whole bunch of things, but talk about that, maybe the mental aspect, that idea where you said that early success really can lead to failure, or as a poor teacher, ultimately, that's something very interesting.
It absolutely is. You learn more from failing. So, you know, you beginners, pick a meet and just do it. You shouldn't be winning anyway.
Jeremy, where can people find you?
On Instagram, Jeremy Hamilton's wife.
That's it, guys. That's the video. Thanks for watching. We'll see everyone, my rascals, in that next video. Peace.
Pizza.